Okay, Julio. What's up, man? I thought I'd try and make a video because I've been practicing making content and thought I would talk through this, the DMT, Bufotenine, autism science. Okay, let me walk you through real quick what I found. So here's this one. This is the original study, this is the study that TikTok referenced. It's by This is a study by Emmanuel and Colombo and other people. It was done like 2010 or 11 or something like that. And what they found is that people with autism, so this is let me zoom in. People with autism right here. I mean, again, this is low. There are not many people in this study, I'm gonna say. There's kind of a low number of participants. But anyway, they found that autistic people have somewhere between, I don't know what is it, 1 and 7 bufotenine micrograms per liter. I'm pretty sure, anyway. Maybe it's... so 1 to 7 controls had 0 to 3 and 1% outlier at 5. And then schizophrenics, like 2 to 3, like a clump down here, and then also up to 7 as well. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, I think it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, like, again, this is small data, but like, look, there's like this clumping right here, where like there's like half of the people are below 4, and then the other half are above 4. So why is that? I don't know. There's really not much literature on this. There's no literature that goes through and says we gave people DMT, at least that I could find. No literature that says we gave people DMT, we measured their bufotenine and DMT levels, and there just isn't, couldn't find anything like that. One thing I could find is this mouse study where they gave mice this 5-MeO DMT. So this is the injection right here. They gave 1,000 whatever nanomoles per liter, and it goes down over time. And then here is the bufotenine concentration. And don't worry about, you can't see it. Don't worry about these two lines out here. That's this study. But right in here, I don't know if you can you see this? Let me zoom in a little. Right here, yeah. You can see there's this little bump right here, and that's the wild type mice being given the DMT and their associated bufotenine levels. This is in nanomoles per liter, so don't get confused about this y-axis. I looked it up. Oh, where is it? Here. It looks like 1 microgram is equivalent to about 17 nanomoles. So that means that, again, unclear exactly what this means because we're talking about mice here versus humans. I don't know enough to know. And I sure do know that the guy that made the TikTok also doesn't know because there's just no way. Maybe he does. Maybe he really understands the literature. But it's unclear so far, as from what I found. So anyway, this little bump, you can see the little white dots in there. This little bump right here shows the bufotenine levels, and here's the DMT levels right here. So the DMT is present, and here's the little spike in bufotenine that goes up to about 50, which would be like 3 micrograms. So I'm not understanding what the difference is in terms of mice and people. How do people have, maybe someone could let me know, but how do people have, what is it, like 2, somewhere between 1 and 6 micrograms? But the mice only have, 3 when they're being given DMT up to like 10. With this harmaline, I don't know what harmaline is. Anyway, I don't know why that is. I found a few other interesting studies. Here's Here's another graph just showing that, DMT decreases and, over time after injection, and bufotenine increases. One other thing, here's a study that looked at suspicious violent offenders, and tried to see if there was any difference. One thing that's kind of interesting here is the range. So this line right here, all patients, this is nanomoles of bufotenine, was somewhere between 0 and 17, which would be 1 microgram, or half, like up to 1. So a lot of different numbers here, and I guess 1 would be more in line with the control level that we saw here. 1 right here. So that's something. And then this study too, this study right here, showed levels of bufotenine. Again, I'm unclear how they get such large numbers, 0.43 to 33. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I guess what I'm saying with all this is the literature seems unclear and lacking consensus. One thing I do know, however, is given this graph, I don't know, and the other graphs that we just saw, I'm not sure it's fair to say that given the higher levels of bufotenine that autistic people are tripping or something like that. That seems like way too much. I'd be really curious to see, a study where they actually gave people DMT and measured the bufotenine levels. If I had to guess, either it would be way higher, really, really high, and so, this is the 1 versus 2 versus 3 is kind of small numbers, or maybe it's like this mouse study where it kind of goes up a little and down, which means that maybe bufotenine in the urine is part of it and has some mediating effects, but doesn't really account for all of it. I don't really know. Yeah, this is the only study I could find that kind of did an actual, we gave people DMT and then measured it, but they didn't measure bufotenine. They measured DMT blood levels. And even then, this is kind of interesting too, that the DMT blood levels, let me zoom in, were quite different for each participant, right? Look at this guy, up to 150. And then up to other people, in the 20 of whatever this is, nanograms per liter of DMT. So, yeah, kind of unclear exactly what that means. And again, I guess what that means in terms of how, in terms of what the actual causal effects of this are. What this actually means is kind of unclear, as much as there is clearly some difference for some people that you got to see too, right? That there's this, given the small amount of participants here, the people in this study, a lot of schizophrenic, right? Half-ish of the schizophrenics had similar levels to, I don't know, a third of the controls and half of the autistic people. And right, clearly these people up here, these autistic people up here, that whatever this is doing is very different than these autistic people down here. So I would say that it's unlikely that, right, clearly this shows that not all autistic people and not all schizophrenic people have high bufotenine levels. And it also probably means that whatever bufotenine is doing is not causing, or is not a super strong correlate with the autism, because if that were the case, it seems like this would be more clumped, right? If bufotenine was, responsible or somehow very tied to the autistic symptoms, then you would expect this to be more clumped, right? What that would mean is that, high bufotenine levels cause autism or something, and then everyone with high bufotenine would be autistic because they're very linked. But this shows like a huge variation, right, down to basically control levels, normal people levels, all the way up to this, and same with schizophrenics. So I'm going to say it's pretty unclear what this actually means. Cool. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow.